I always tell people who marvel at my small business and how far it's come that, to be honest, I really feel like I have very little artistic talent. Like I really cannot draw with a pen and paper, and I feel like my designs are very simple and it's not super hard. But the one thing that I have been able to do really well is set goals and accomplish them. I find it very thrilling to have it all and maximize my productivity and try and maximize the little time that I do have, either when I was working a corporate job or now when I have a child and a family that I love to spend time with. And goals are the reason why I've been able to do that through the years and scale my business to where it is now. So today I thought I would share 5 tips on how I stay motivated and commit to my goals. Setting good goals is the number one most important things to do to make sure you stick to those goals. And the way that I would recommend that you set your goals is to check out the SMART system of goal setting and find a framework of how you can make your goals specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound. Those are really 5 tried and true ways of setting goals that I think are very, very important. I really find that the clients that I work with often will find that their goals are too overwhelming, or they're really burnt out, or they're really discouraged. And I think that's because they have not really taken the time to make them smart. And the way they set goals, like reach 5,000 Instagram followers, right? Like it's achievable if you have 100 Instagram followers right now and you want to get to 5,000 by the end of the month, because that requires like a very random event that you can't control, like going viral. Okay, I'm currently editing my video and I wanted to bring this up because it is a very common, if not every single one of my clients brings up this goal of wanting to grow more on social media or post more on social media. And this is an example that I will use of why SMART goals are important. So most people, when they say they want to grow on social media, they say things like, I want to reach 500 followers. I want to reach 5,000 followers, right? This is not a SMART goal because it does not talk about the achievable, right? If you have 100 followers and you're trying to get to 5,000 followers, that's not going to happen unless you go viral, which I just mentioned. Because what you're doing is you're focusing on the output of a goal, like what other people are doing, following you, versus the input of a goal, which is what you can do, right? So instead of saying, I want to reach 500 or 5,000 followers, your SMART goal should really be saying, I want to be able to post 2 times a week by the end of Q1, 1 reel, 1 post by the end of Q1. And that is specific, that is measurable, achievable, right? That can go with your schedule, relevant in your goals of growing on social media, and time bound by the end of Q1, right? So that's an example of a SMART goal that is very important to kind of consider all those elements and why they call it SMART goals and why it's a very tried and true method that a lot of people use to goal set. So one thing about goals that is really, really important is to remember that goals are supposed to be helping you. It is not supposed to be hurting you. I think it's very tempting to make these really audacious goals and then they end up being like our manager or our boss when really they're supposed to be our assistant and our tool. The great part about working for yourself is that you don't have a boss and you don't have a manager. So why would you set goals that kind of act like that and kind of make you feel like you're not on track, feel like you're not doing enough, etc. So really having those SMART goals, those achievable, those time bound, will really keep you on track and make sure that the goals are there to kind of shape your day and your week and whatever free time you have to work on your business. Now, the first step that I really have every single person do that I work with all the time is to write down all their goals. I think especially when you're working for yourself and by yourself, it's very tempting to keep all the ideas and everything you're processing in your head. But there's something extremely magical about taking a pen and a paper or taking a blank Google Doc and literally writing out, I want to, let's take the example, hit 5,000 Instagram followers by the end of the month. So when you write something down, it allows you to do 2 things, right? Number one, it kind of allows you to see the holes in those goals, right? It allows you to figure out, wait, I need to make these SMART. This is a very, very audacious goals because I only have 100 Instagram followers right now. And the second thing is when you do make those goals SMART and you write it down, you have something visual to really point yourself to. When we don't write things down, it seems like it's very clear in our head, but when you write it down, it's then when you see how much more you need to do to get there, which is very helpful because it's really breaking down those steps that you need to take to get to that big goal. The third tip is to set my schedule. So I quit my corporate job a little under a year ago, and since then I have figured out a really great schedule for myself. In the mornings, I'm usually just executing and just figuring out all the stuff that I need to get done and then getting them done. And in the afternoon, it's like my free time where I go run errands or I walk the dog or I record this YouTube video like right now. And that's really allowed me to figure out that for the beginning half of the day, all I'm doing is really sitting down and working and executing those goals. When I was working corporate and I had a lot less time in the day, the schedule that I usually would set, honestly, was just figuring out what nights of the weekday I had time to sit down and work on my business. In those 2 nights, what are the goals I'm going to focus on? What realistically can I get done in those times? Having that set schedule where I knew that I was specifically going to work on my business those 2 nights of the week allowed me to really compound and grow the little time that I had with my small business. The other thing I will say about setting a schedule that is very important is that you have these dedicated times of blocks to work. The thing I see in a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of small business owners is that they take a lot of time dreaming and planning and being like, oh, I can do this, I can do this. It's a lot of shiny object syndrome, and I don't see enough time really sitting down to execute. Because executing is a necessity into reaching your goals, right? You can't just dream and like someone will do all the work it needs to take to get there. You really need to sit there and concentrate and execute on those really small steps needed to get to that big goal. So for me, when I'm setting the schedule to work, I know, for example, in the mornings, I literally put my phone behind my laptop in another part of the house, and I don't pick it up unless I am posting to my Instagram stories, producing content, working. I'm not responding to DMs, I'm not responding to text. I'm literally just sitting and having a block of time where I'm just executing and just working. Tip number 4 I have to stick with your goals is to track your progress. If you think of a simple checklist where you write a big goal, like post 2 reels on Instagram this week, right? That is like a larger goal. It's actually very helpful if you write all the steps needed to do that goal, and then you check it off as you go, right? That is a very, very classic way of kind of keeping yourself motivated, because you see all those checkbox that you do to make those 2 reels. Instead of just writing create 2 reels this week, what you can break it down to do is 1, brainstorm the 2 types of reels that I'm gonna make. Number 2, find time that I'm gonna make these reels. Number 3, grab the props that I need to make this reel. Number 4, edit this reel. Number 5, add GIFs to this reel. Number 6, post this reel. And then when you have those 6 steps, you're like one by one doing it. It just makes you feel so much better about working towards this bigger goal that actually does take a lot of effort. So I would say for me, tracking my progress is really, really important, because I'm able to take these big, lofty goals and dreams that I'm trying to achieve, and to be able to visually see how many little steps it's taken me to get there, instead of seeing this big goal that's like, oh my God, I'm never going to get there. The last tip I have is to celebrate endlessly, which is really the goal and mission of my brand and Pickles in general. I really believe that we are in a mental health epidemic where there's so much social media to compare how far you have to go and how it seems like every other person has figured it out and done it so fast and all these things, versus what I really believe that you should be doing, which is celebrating endlessly and celebrating all the things that you have done to get there. That really goes hand in hand with my last tip, which is to track progress. I love celebrating so much. I really love patting myself on the back, because I really feel like it is a great motivator to push me forward even more. I would say when you reach a goal that, again, is smart because you can actually achieve it, it is important to really take time to celebrate that, to celebrate you and your wins. And if you didn't reach those goals, it's worth it to look back and say, why didn't I reach this goal? Was it too lofty of a goal? How do I kind of scale it back to something I can really achieve, so that I can be more realistic with the amount of time and energy that I have? Celebrating endlessly also has to do with my favorite thing of writing things down. One thing I really like to do is every single week, I actually write down stuff that I did for my business. And when you look at it from a bird's eye perspective and see all these things that you did in a week or a month or even a year, right? Like I like to scroll and be like, wow, I did a lot this month. I did a lot this quarter. It is a lot to celebrate. When you're really in the nitty gritty of your everyday, it feels like you might have wasted so much time doing this. You completed this task, or you posted your first reel, but oh my gosh, it got such low views. And what was the whole point of that? But there is things to celebrate, right? You learn how to use the Reels tool. You wrote one caption, and that means the next time you write it, it's gonna be faster, right? There's so many little things to celebrate, even if it doesn't feel like that right in that right moment. So I would really encourage you to celebrate yourself, because there is so much to celebrate. Setting goals has been so important for me and my business growth, and sticking to the goals are even more important. I would love to hear if you have any tips for sticking to goals that I did not share in these 5 points. And if you're interested in my goal setting workshop, which I will definitely be running again later this year, please sign up at the link below. I had a lot of fun this past weekend, and it was a very motivating way for me to start my year. I hope your year is starting off well. Make those SMART goals, make them achievable and measurable, and give yourself a deadline, and all will be